Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Okay, so just a couple of words about the cupping. Maybe some of you may not have an idea about the cupping. So cupping is one of the prophetic medicines actually. And Rasulullah salatu wasalam have made many statements about the cupping. And one of them, maybe the most, you can say, exciting ones, I would say the hadith which is narrated in Nasai or Ibn Majah, one of them two collections. Rasulullah says, when I went to the Mi'raj, so each single angel that I would meet there would carry on advising me to do the cupping. And the angels would carry on advising me, saying, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, go and order your nation to do the cupping. Okay, so it is very important. And there are many hadith. Rasulullah says that anything that is treatable, any disease that is treatable, so all of that is treatable by the cupping. Okay, inshallah, the next time we will have a proper lecture with all of the, you can say, information, but just a couple of words today. So the main idea, the main, you can say, point behind the cupping is, if you know the immune system of a human being is very strong, am I right? So now, for example, if you are ill and if you go to the doctors, GP, then normally they just give you a painkiller. I would agree with them. Why? Because your immune system will fight against any type of disease. But only we need to hide the pain, just to give you better condition. Or otherwise, your body is strong enough. But then, what exactly the thing that in the body of a human being will be fighting with the disease? So it is some bits of the blood. But as you know, our liver produces a blood, fresh blood. Am I right? And after 120 days, it will die. The fresh blood will die. Okay. Then where does it go? So it is the duty of our liver to filter it again and to release it from out of our body. But not all the time our liver will be able to filter everything, all of the dead blood in our body. So then when we have some certain quantity of dead blood inside of the normal blood, so when we have some disease in the body, so the dead blood will be confusing the normal blood to fight against the disease. Did you understand? So now we need to help out the normal blood to fight against the disease. So what to do? We can filter out, take out or release the dead blood from our body. And how is done? It's done through cupping. Did you understand? So it is very beneficial thing actually. And alhamdulillah, I've been practicing the cupping in the UK for over 4 years. And I've been treating many people with the diabetics and with the cancer. I had a problem, and with the back pain after the car crash, and many different, you can say, disease. Okay, and in terms of the ladies, women, because the young ladies who have a normal, you can say, monthly bleeding, so it's not recommended for them to get the cupping done, unless if they are ill, then they should get it done. Because the monthly period is not able to help. Means we need to help out externally, you can say. But the ladies at the age of menopause, the ladies who are not bleeding, so it is very strongly recommended for them to get the cupping done also. And we have the hadith in which Sayyidah Salama came to Rasulullah asking for permission for the cupping. And Rasulullah actually gave her a permission for the cupping. Okay, so we have many ahadith. Inshallah, the next time when we will come here, inshallah, we will have a proper lecture about the cupping. So we will revise all of the ahadith about the cupping, inshallah. So now, what do I have? We have the new subject, very new subject, I would say. It's one of the lost knowledge of Arabians as well as Muslims. The subject named Ilm-ul-Qiyafah, face reading. Maybe some of the Maulanas or some of the Shuyukh maybe may criticize me, saying you're supposed to be teaching how to pray and how to make divorce, marriage, etc. I say there are some regular classes based on weekly, you can say, regular basis. Okay, but our main purpose in here is just to give some excitement, just to resurrect some of the lost knowledge. Inshallah, you will see that this knowledge is based on Quran and Sunnah. Okay? Whereas in Quran, we have this knowledge. If you know, ayah is in here, you can see. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن في ذلك لآيات للمتوسمين. Indeed, in the previous ayat, signs that we gave, there is some good understanding for the people of tawassum. Wasm is sign on the face. Tawassum is just by looking at the sign, you will get the information. Did you understand? Do you remember Imam Malik? Imam Malik, when Imam Shafi'i came to him, and Imam Shafi'i was yet young kid, age of 9, 10. Okay, with the letter. So then Imam Malik just looked at him, and Imam Malik said, اتق الله فإنه يكون لك شأن. Fear God, because you are going to have very huge thing in the future about you. And we know what happened with Imam Shafi'i. Okay? And do you remember Abu Hanifa? So Abu Hanifa had Malik of himself also. Who was the Malik of Abu Hanifa? That was Al-Imam Al-Sha'bi. Sha'bi, one of the greatest tabi'in. So Imam Abu Hanifa was trading in the market. Sha'bi, one of the greatest scholars of that time, saw Abu Hanifa, and Abu Hanifa was kid, going and coming and selling as a broker. And then he said, "Oh kid, come here." Abu Hanifa came. Okay, so Sha'bi said, "Where do you go?" Okay, so he said, "Ila man takhtalif." In Arabic language, it means two things. To which scholars do you go to learn? And the second is, to which things you go to do. So he said, "Akhtalif ila suq." He said, "I do go to the market to trade." Sha'bi said, "I'm not asking about that, but I'm asking, to which circles do you go?" So then Abu Hanifa said, "I do not go to any." Sha'bi said, "Go and learn. Go and learn from the circles of the fiqh, because you are going to have very huge future." 2 words. And we know what happened to Abu Hanifa. Okay, so how did they get? As Allah says, indeed there are some signs for the people who can read the signs. Okay, and also, do you know Zayd ibn Haritha and his son Usama bin Zayd? Zayd ibn Haritha was white, bright-skinned man, Arabian, and his son was from the wife of, from Sayyidah Thuwayba, who was black, you can say, Ethiopian or Nigerian lady. So the son of Zayd ibn Haritha was black, very dark black. So once they were lying, hadith is narrated in Tirmidhi and many other sources. So then someone, whose name is Muharraz al-Mudliji, okay, came and he saw, and they were asleep. So then just by looking at the feet of both of them, he said, "Ya Rasulullah, these 2 feet are from each other." So it was son and father. Maybe if we would see the feet, we wouldn't recognize it, because one belongs to black African man and the second is white Arabian. Okay, so then Rasulullah came into the house of Sayyidah Aisha smiling. Sayyidah Aisha said, "Ya Rasulullah, you are smiling." So he said, because Muharraz al-Mudliji just looked at the feet of Usama and Zayd and his son, and he said, "These feet are from each other." So that is face reading or foot reading, if it's possible to be called. And as you know, Banu Mudlij, they were very famous of foot reading. So just by looking at the footstep, they would give you information about how old is he and from which tribe. Okay, and what type of disease does he have? Okay, so that type of amazing knowledge. And once Abdul Muttalib, the grandfather of Rasulullah was sat with Rasulullah. And as you know, Rasulullah would be sitting by just straightening his legs. So then people from Bani Mudlij came after performing tawaf. They saw the feet of Rasulullah and they said, we have never seen any feet which is so similar to the Maqam Ibrahim than these ones. How they could read it? So this is the knowledge. Okay. And also, once Imam Muhammad ibn Hassan, the student of Abu Hanifa, and his student Imam Shafi'i, Muhammad ibn Idris Shafi'i radiallahu anhuma, they went to perform tawaf. So then Imam Muhammad saw some man, and most likely he was Yemeni, and he was performing tawaf. Imam Muhammad said, let's guess. Imam Shafi'i said, let's do it. And then Imam Muhammad said, he is, what do you call the people who work on the wood? Sorry? Carpenter. Imam Shafi'i said, I guess that he is blacksmith. Then they called him. When he came, so he said, we're just guessing about you. So that person said, who said what? Imam Muhammad said, I said that you are carpenter or whatever. And then Imam Shafi'i said, I said that you are blacksmith. So that person said, I used to be carpenter, but now I'm blacksmith. Okay. And also once Abu Hanifa was in the masjid, and as you know, after from the salat to another salat, Abu Hanifa would be having circles teaching the people. And after Maghrib, after Isha, he would pray, waiting if anyone needs some help, so they would come to him. So then once Abu Hanifa, after Salat al-Isha, he saw some man, okay, going and looking for something. So then Abu Hanifa called him. He said, your slave, okay, with no right eye is in the jail. Go and get him out of the jail of Baghdad. So he went, and then when he brought him back, he was there actually. So they asked him, they said, oh Imam, how do you know that he was looking exactly for his slave, and the slave didn't have an eye, right eye, and that he was in the jail? Okay, are you talking about Ilm-ul-Ghaib, you know? So Abu Hanifa said, no. But because when I looked at him, he was looking only for the slaves. He was coming and looking at the slaves because there were a lot of people asleep. Strangers, travelers, but he wasn't going to anyone but only to the slaves who were sleeping in the masjid. And also when he would go there, he would come from the right side. Not from the left side, but exactly from the right side. So I understood that he's looking for his slave, and I understood that there is some defect in the right eye. And then normally, when slaves run away, they become hungry because they do not have money, then they steal. And when they steal, they will be jailed. So that's how I understood that he is in the jail. So that's also, you can say, firasa and face reading. Okay, so, إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِلْمُتَوَسِّمِينَ. Okay. And as you know, there is another hadith. Sorry. Rasulullah says, إِنَّهُ كَانَ فِي مَنْ كَانَ قَبْلَكُمْ الْمُحْدَثُونَ or الْمُحَدَّثُونَ وَإِنْ يَكُ فِي أُمَّتِي فَهُوَ عُمَرٌ. أو كما قال. Means, indeed, in the previous nations, they used to be the muhdath people. The muhdath people who just have a karama, reading the face and that type of things, you know. And Rasulullah said, if I will have any in my nation, then definitely is going to be Umar, one of them. Okay. And what about Umar radiallahu anhu? In his time, when he was Amirul Mu'mineen, he had a case in which two men, somehow by accident, they married the same lady. And then they had a sexual intercourse. And she gave birth. And then, for some reason, so each of them came to Umar radiallahu anhu claiming that it's his son. Okay. And then Umar radiallahu anhu, he was expert of fast reading, but in the judgment, the expertise of the judge is not accepted. But we need some third person. So Umar radiallahu anhu invited two, you can say, experts of face reading. So then when they looked at the baby, they said, Ya Amirul Mu'minin, we have never had this type of case before. So he has, both of them is his father. Because he has got some sign from both. Okay, so Umar radiallahu anhu did attach the baby to both of them, saying, he is son of both of you, and he will get inheritance from both of you. Okay, but when he dies, only the remaining father will get his inheritance. Okay, so that's also face reading. So, if you will go to revise the stories of face reading, so we have many. Okay, so then, so that is the subject that we are going to study. Most likely, maybe today we may not be able to go to the main, you can say, point, but I will give you some main, you can say, explanations about the face reading. Now, question: why do we need this subject? Anyone can answer this question, please? I'm sorry. Can I have some tea, please? The same one. Why do we need this subject? Is there any benefit of this subject now? What's the benefit?
To find out someone's a true believer or not.
It's good because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَتَعْرِفَنَّهُمْ فِي لَحْنِ الْقَوْلِ. You will find the hypocrites from the way of them speaking. And Allah says, سِيمَاهُمْ فِي وُجُوهِهِمْ. And the sign of the believers is in their face. Can you believe? Sometimes I go into the lecture and I find only 3 or 4 believers amongst 10, 15. Can you imagine that? So it is good sign. I mean, it is good thing to recognize the true believer from hypocrite from his face. It's a good thing. Is there any other benefit? Yes.
To get to know the person before you actually speak.
Excellent, excellent. I would say this is one of the most important benefits of this knowledge in our time. Why? Because now, for you to success, you need reliable partners and friends. Am I right? So when you will learn this subject, you will get, you can say, ability of distinguishing the liar and the fake friend from the honest friend. Unfortunately, the honest friend all the time, for the non-expertise, will look like a liar. And other way around. But when you will read the face, face never lies. Face will never lie. Okay? So it is very good, especially those who are trying to set up a new project. So you need advice. So if you will go to the wrong person, he will just steal your project and he will give you wrong advice and he will be doing it on his own. Or he will just, for example, you are willing to do the business, trading, buying, selling. So just by looking at his face, you will distinguish if he is a liar or if he is honest person. And then question, is this knowledge will this knowledge give us certainty or not? I say principles will give us certainty, but we can be mistaken in the implementing. Okay, but the principles are 100% because Allah is mentioning. So it has got a sign. So each single thing has got a sign. Okay. So there was a story. 3 people, 3 guests. 3 guests of Qahtani time. So it is, you can say, after Ibrahim a.s., after about 200 years. Yemanis. 3 people came to visit one Yemeni wise man. And that Yemeni wise man brought honey. In that time, giving honey in Arabian country would mean that you are very, very pleasing your guest. They started eating. Okay? And host was sitting there. They did some movement. Host understood. He said, speak it out. First person said, it is such amazing honey if there wouldn't be the test of bone. He said, what? Test of a bone? Next person tested, said, it is such amazing honey if there wouldn't be test of a poison. Okay. Third person said, it is such amazing honey if there wouldn't be test of a dust. So the host said, perfect, because I did collect the honey from the desert, which was the sand, and it was the bees, honey bees, did make the scalpel of the camel. They made it into their place to make the honey in. So that is the test of the bone. And next to it, there used to be some snake. So I did kill the snake and I brought the honey. Okay, so it is just amazing knowledge. I do not say that it is face reading, but it is one of the branches of getting sign. Did you understand? So it is a very beautiful subject. I remember once I was very young. I was something about 9 years old. But this story I remember very clearly. My father has taken me to some place, to some office. And there was some very famous man sat there. He is a boxer, very famous man. So as soon as he saw me, he said, is he born in April? My father was just amazed. I born in the 1st of April, if you can imagine. Okay, so how did he get it? It's this knowledge, So there are some certain signs. Okay. So Alhamdulillah, and we are very fortunate of having a chance of learning this knowledge. Okay, and we have something about 20 pages to learn. But the main important thing we will finish off by the next week. The main principles will be finished by the next week. So it is very important for each single person to attend. And the rest will be practical implementation. Okay, so now enjoy by looking at each other. Because from the next turn, from the next month and the month after, the world is not going to remain as it is now. Trust me. Some of you will bring close his enemy, and some of you will make a distance from his friend. So that type of knowledge, but it is really beneficial. Okay, so if you do not distinguish between your friend and enemy, then your life is waste. Because one day you will wake up, but then you will be sorry. Okay, so when you are healthy, wealthy, if you have the right people next to you, you will keep your health and wealth. Okay, but if you are healthy, wealthy, but you have the wrong people next to you, so then you will lose everything, but when you will need them all, at the old age. And you will be sorry for all of your life, thinking, if I would have that person next to me, whom I used to consider as my enemy, I would make brighter progress in my life. Okay, so that is the subject. And that subject name, Ilm-ul-Firasa. Okay, Ilm-ul-Firasa. And I'm really sorry, today I'm not feeling very well, so I may not be able to carry on for more. So I think that much should be enough. And if you have any questions, you should ask now. Yes, please. I can see that everyone is afraid. when I look at the audience, I look at the audience as, you can say, the brothers and sisters who came to learn. I don't implement these things, don't worry. By learning this subject, you will be able what this person was doing last night, for example. Such amazing knowledge.
Can you give an example of that?
Sorry?
Can you read my face?
Are you sure? Get up. If you can come closer, please. Okay, no, that's it. How old are you?
You want me to tell you?
Yes.
28.
No, because I'm not from Bani Mudlish, so I cannot decide what you are. Can you look at the side?
This side, yeah?
Yeah, mashallah, okay. Okay, so now, ask me.
Ask you.
Yeah.
Oh, question about me.
Yeah.
What was I doing last night?
Well, okay, forget about the last night. I will give you your characters.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, tell me.
Okay, it's okay. So one thing is really good about you. You have strong personality. That is very good. And your nose tells me that you never will keep weak enemies. That is really good again about you. Okay, and your eyes are too close to each other, which means that time to time you may not be grateful. So
Might not be great.
you may not be grateful. Well, okay, that's fine. That's fine.
I may not have
Yeah, that's fine. And
be more grateful for Allah's giving me, yes?
no, okay. No, it doesn't matter. No, because we do each have something. Okay. Yeah, and also another thing about you. You are very quick in terms of you don't like to wait for a long time. In terms of you are making some project, so either let's do it in a week, 2 weeks time, but waiting 2 years for you means it's just nothing. You will never go for it, okay? Because it's tight. Your face is tight, okay? And also the good thing about you, do you know the people who like to speak about people backbiting and slandering? You find it not comfortable for yourself, so you do not go to that. Okay, and also about your lips, I would call you. Are you married?
Yes.
Okay, so.
Found me wife.
No. It's not that. Okay, well, and also another thing, your neck is you are brave. That is a good thing. And another thing, your ears are very controversial because the people with the tight head are very sharp in terms of understanding. But these type of ears will show that not very quick.
Yeah, I'm dyslexic, so that's right. Yeah.
So it is controversial. So I don't know, it never can be.
Okay.
So either your head's supposed to be wider or either this should be,
Okay.
Yeah, and can you show me your palm, please?
Yeah. From there.
Yeah. No, just make this. Okay, so you may need a big amount of attention from your wife, maybe. So just to be ignored, it will not please you.
Yeah.
Okay. And in general, I would call you a really positive element of the society. You're a positive person. Yeah, so the good thing, if I will be your enemy, so when you will find me weak, you will never fight with me. That's a good thing about you. It's from your nose. Sorry?
You want to be my friend?
No. Yes. Yeah. No, because that's the biggest problem. So test the person when he's your enemy, then you will decide if he's a good friend. So there are people, I will not give you the detail of their nose, who will show their enmity exactly when you are weak.
Okay.
So you are exactly other way around. So if your enemy is weak, so you will not fight with him. That's a really good thing. So you are a positive person. So definitely I was mistaken, but how many percent I've got the correct information?
I would say you spoke correct about 70% of the time.
Okay, no, that is sufficient for us, inshallah. That's sufficient. Okay, so that's it. You're welcome, inshallah. Okay, so now do we carry on reading the faces? Okay. Well, as I told you, it is in terms of the principles of it will give you certainty, but how you implement. So for example, no any of you will be able to read my face because I have got some parts in my face damaged. It's not natural form, it's not natural shape. I used to go to the boxing when I used to be a kid, so some part of my face is damaged. So no any of you will give accurate information about how brave I am, as well as how I act, how I treat my enemies. Because that part of my face is damaged. Yes. So you have to see the original shape. Did you understand? So according to this, if you will see some lady who had plastic surgery, definitely you will not get anything. Because face will be totally different shape. Okay? As well as you could be mistaking when you will read the face of the people from different countries. So wide face will say that person is generous. Tight one could mean other way around, for example. But then Chinese people for us, or even me, even Chinese people may look all the time wide face. But they do recognize each other when it is wide or tight. Do you understand? So you can read the face of those with whom you grew up because you understand that face. Did you understand? So there are many issues which may misguide you. Or other way, the principles are 100% correct. Did you understand? How close are the eyes? How far? The shape of the nose, okay? And for example, do you see the part of face out of the neck? So that will give some certain things, do you know? Yes. Sorry? How do you tell the sign of Muslim? Okay, mashallah. I wouldn't call it this, Ilm-ul-Firasa, but I would call it Ilm-ul-Firasa. Do you remember Rasulullah says, "Ittaqu firasat al-mu'min." Be careful of the firasa of a mu'min because he looks by the light of God. Do you remember? The hadith has got some weakness in it, but it is something to be considered in this field. Okay, so that is something to do with the strange things actually in the face. So it's not about the shape of the face. Okay. I remember some of our shuyukh, just by looking at the person, would say from which lineage he is in terms of Ahlul Bayt. He would say, you are Husseini, descendant of Ahmad al-Sayyad, for example, and it would be exactly correct. So that is, I wouldn't call it as, no, the shape of the face will be engaged, but there is some firas also involved. And he was over 70 years and he passed away about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, yes. Yes, please.
Is there evidence of Prophet reading anybody's face or doing...
Rasulullah, no, for example, in Quran, Allah says, وَلَتَعْرِفَنْ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِلْمُتَوَسِّمِينَ. Indeed, in these things, there are some signs for those who can read the sign. Okay? As well as in terms of, definitely Rasulullah would read, but not necessarily Rasulullah will describe. Okay, for example, once something happened and some lady committed zina actually. Okay, and they brought the baby, and then Rasulullah just by looking, he said, because it has got so on face condition, so on skin condition, so it's not from zina, but it is your son. Okay, so that is sufficient enough. Okay, and if you go to the history books, Islamic history books, you will find many stories and examples for the face reading. Or for example, what do you think about Imam Muhammad and Imam Shafi'i? Shabi making statement about Abu Hanifa, Malik speaking about Shafi'i, you know. So all of that is based on the face reading. Or that Muharraz al-Mudliji, when he read the feet of father and son, Rasulullah didn't deny but smiled. Do you understand? So it is confirmation from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, but as I said, it's again for one more time, it is with 100% correct principles, but with being misguided while you are implementing. Okay, so there are many, you can say, minuses. So even, for example, within the UK, the Scottish people, their face could be slightly different to the English. So them having tight face will be slightly different. It could be wider than the English, do you know? And then you will consider the Scottish face as wide face. And then you will say he is very generous. And then you will find him Scrooge, for example. So then it wasn't the mistake of the principle, but you couldn't implement it. Because you didn't know the shapes of the face of the Scottish people. Did you understand? Yeah, so that is the subject, inshallah. And from the next month, we will go into the details. So enjoy 1 month of, you can say, meeting and chatting with each other. From the next month, it's going to be totally different.
You know when you said that the characteristics of the person change, or can they change? For example, like you said, very generous, or person can continue throughout life.
Okay. In terms of the main, character never changes. Okay, Rasulullah ﷺ says, إذا قيل لكم غير الجبل مكانه فصدقوه وإذا قيل لكم غير الرجل طبعه أو تغير طبع الرجل فلا تصدقوه أو كما قال, means if you will be told that some mountain changed its place, then trust him. But if you will be told that some person changed his character, then don't trust him. Okay? But then, as you know, there are two things. One is the character and one is acting. So acting is the fruits of our character. Okay? So when we go to the suluk, when we try to discipline our ego, what happens? You are angry. You have a problem of temper. So you cannot remove it 100%, but you can decrease it to the level which it will not be harmful. And it will not be visible, but it will stay there. Did you understand? Yeah. So you cannot change it, but you can bring it to the level in which it will not show off and it will not be harmful. Okay. And inshallah, we'll have a chance about speaking about the alternative characters. What does it mean? It means that person is greedy or he's covered, but then he will be doing opposite things just to cover his, for example, greed, for example. But in the places where no generosity needed. Okay, for example, I'm greedy, so when we'll go out, I will pay for the taxi, I will pay for the snooker, I will pay for everything. Because so I will give an idea to everyone that I'm generous. But when some of my friends will need £1,000, then they will see my real nature. Because taxi, all of these small things are small, you know. So I will try to show off in the miserable points that I'm generous. But when real generosity needed, I will fail. Did you understand? Yeah. So that's why we say the tasawwuf is even more complicated than fiqh and aqeeda. Because in fiqh, you need to find out what is sunnah and what is bid'ah. Very easy. In aqeeda, you need to find out what is kufr and iman. But when you are dealing with tasawwuf, your murid will come, okay, and he will be imitating the angel. But you have to have enough brain, firasa and face reading to see his weaknesses and to give him what he needs. Training and exercises, you know. So that is, inshallah, the subject that we are going to learn. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salamu ala khayri khalqihi Sayyidina wa Mawlana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. It is the subject of Ilm-ul-Qiyāfa, or you can say face reading. Face reading. Just I want to make a very brief revision of what we have done before, the last month. And also, you know, this is the knowledge, we can say, mainly granted. Okay, but what about learning this knowledge So the people who gain this knowledge by studying and learning, they will remain all the time weak. Did you understand? But it is just granted knowledge. So there are people, just by looking at the face, straight away they know. Okay? So it is just granted. Allah just gave them that knowledge. And there are another people, which is most of us, so we will learn it. It doesn't mean that we will be unable to distinguish. We will be, but we will not be that perfect as the person who is natural, you can say, face reader. Did you understand? And also, it's one of the most important things for the Muslim all the time to know that the knowledge that he's going to study is permissible according to Islam. Okay? Because as you know, there are some certain knowledge which is prohibited in Islam. Okay? And prohibited just totally. For example, the black magic. Okay? Or you can say, do you know this coffee reading? They read the cups of the coffee, you know. That type of knowledge are prohibited. And there are some certain types of knowledge which is restricted. Not prohibited 100%, but restricted. What's the meaning of restriction? For example, once some Sahabi came, hadith is in Mishkat. Okay, mentioned in Mishkat. And the original source, I think it's in Sunan Abi Dawood. Most likely it is in Sunan Abi Dawood. So some Sahabi came saying, Ya Rasulullah, what do you think about khat? Khat is just painting, drawing a line. And it is a knowledge. So Rasulullah said that it is, so that Sahabi was asking about many things. Do you know the astrology and zodiacs and that type of things? So Rasulullah did forbid from some certain types of this knowledge. And then that Sahabi said, and what about the knowledge of drawing a line? So then Rasulullah said, it was the miracle of one of the prophets. فَمَنْ وَافَقَ خَطَّهُ خَطَّ النَّبِي فَذَلِكَ هُوَ. That's it. So it used to be the knowledge of one of the prophets, and anyone who will be according to that knowledge, so that is the person who is doing it properly. Means this knowledge is restricted. Not each single person can practice it. Okay, but only those who have got reliable sources. Okay, and then what is this knowledge? Drawing a line, which is restricted. So scholars gave different answers. Okay, some of them said that it is, you can say, something about good superstition. Good superstition, okay, in which you will be drawing a line on the sand. Several lines. Okay, and then with each line, there will be some knowledge, which person expert can read. Okay, and some of the scholars said that it is just, for example, you will say, I am going, or I am doing some certain project, or for example, is my life some certain age, and then they will draw a line, and then another line like that, and third, fourth like that, and then they will mention some certain size. So the size which will be comparable, matchable with one of these lines, so that is the correct answer. Okay, but we say all of this is just guessing. As Rasulullah said, فَمَنْ وَافَقَ خَطُّهُ خَطَّ النَّبِي فَذَلِكَ هُوَ. So anyone who will be doing it according to that prophet, who used to practice this knowledge, so only their, you can say, practicing of this knowledge is correct and permissible. So now, I don't believe that any of us knows that knowledge. Means we do not have a right to practice that knowledge. Okay? But in the time of Tabi'in, for example, even Sufyan ibn Uyayna, you know him. Sufyan ibn Uyayna used to go, and Sufyan ibn Uyayna is Amirul Mu'minin fil Hadith, you know, one of the Salaf Salih. So he used to go to some of the scholars who would practice this knowledge. Ilm-ul-Khat, okay? And now they are saying, some of the people are saying, Ilm-ul-Khat that Rasulullah was talking about, now called Ilm-ul-Ramal. Okay? I would say be careful. Ilm-ul-Ramal is again painting on the sand, but there is some certain pictures also, putting dots, not only the line. Okay, so I say, if you do not have authentic source, So then don't go with the people, because so many fake people, and most of them are with the turbans and beads. So you think that he's authentic, but he will be black magician. Don't go there. Okay. So anyway, so not each single knowledge in Islam is prohibited, and not each single knowledge is given permission. So some of it is given permission, which is most of subjects, astronomy, geography, medicine, okay, and some of them is prohibited, black magic, astrology, zodiac, and all of these kind of things, and some of them is under the restriction. Okay, so before learning that subject, it is very important for us just to look into the shar'i, you can say, the hukum of the knowledge. And if you remember last week or last month, we were going through the ayat and ahadith which proves that it is permissible, the face reading. Okay, and if you remember, I did mention the ayah, which is mentioned even in here, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, ta'rifuhum bisimahum. Okay, you will recognize the poor people, the you can say noble poor people, from their faces. So okay, so it is face reading. Okay, or even if you remember when Allah was describing the Muslims in Surah Al-Fath, what did He say? He said, "Simahum fi wujuhihim." Their sign of being noble and great and saint is on their faces. Okay, and also there is another hadith in which Rasulullah ﷺ said, "Ittaqi firasat al-mu'mini fa innahu yanzuru bi nurillah." Or kama qal, means be aware of the firasa. Okay, of the firasa of a mu'min, because he sees by the light of God. Or in different hadith, Rasulullah ﷺ says, إِنَّهُ كَانَ فِي مَنْ كَانَ قَبْلَكُمْ مُحْدَثُونَ or مُحَدَّثُونَ فَإِنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ فِي أُمَّتِي فَعُمَرْ. Or kama qal, means before these nations, there used to be people of ilham. Okay, you can say superstition or something like that. And if I do have in my nation, so it is Umar radiallahu anhu. And also, if you remember, I did mention several stories from Umar radiallahu anhu, in which he brought two experts of face reading. Do you remember? And also the hadith in which that person from Banu Mudlij came and saw the feet of Rasulullah. Do you remember? And he said, we haven't seen any feet which would be so you can say looking close as these ones to that one, saying the Maqam Ibrahim, the feet of Ibrahim alayhi salatu. And another hadith we did mention, once Rasulullah ﷺ came into the house of Sayyidah Aisha, and Rasulullah ﷺ was smiling. Okay, so then Sayyidah Aisha said, Ya Rasulullah, why are you smiling? So Rasulullah ﷺ said, because some of the Sahabah, Mudliji from Bani Mudlij, he came and then he saw Zayd ibn al-Haritha and Usama bin Zayd, father and son. Okay, and they were asleep, and they were using a blanket which was very short, so they was covering their head and body, but feet was outside. Okay, and then and as you know, Zayd ibn Haritha was very white. Okay, white skin, and because his wife, Sayyidah Thuwayba, was black, Ethiopian lady, so his son Usama bin Zayd was very black, dark black. Okay, so maybe both of them, if they would be in front of us, we wouldn't understand that it is father and son sitting, even by looking at the face. Okay, but that Sahabi from Bani Mudlij, he saw only the feet because the head was covered, you know, father sleeping with son. Okay, and when he saw, he said, هَذِهِ بَعْضُهَا مِنْ بَعْضٍ. He said, Ya Rasulullah, these feet are from each other. Said, it's just a father and son. So Rasulullah smiled and went into his house. Okay, so this is, Rasulullah actually didn't say, don't read the feet. Okay, so all of these ahadith and ayat will prove that face reading is one of the permissible knowledge. And also, then he is giving another proof, which is, you can say, logic proof of, you can say, possibility of this knowledge. So he says that, do you know the people who train animals? Who train animals? For example, horse. So for example, there are some people who train horses. Or there are people in cirque. If you go to cirque, they train lions also, elephants and etc. So, and also it's very well known, specifically with the horses. So when you choose, if you're expert of the horses, training the horses, you will go and look at the face and the back legs, to read the face, to see that if this horse is going to bear the training or not. Did you understand? Okay, so you can understand that from the face, some signs on the face and the legs. So that we say is a good example from the animals. And also, as you know, even if we do have a spirit, angelic spirit, but we do have animalistic body. Did you understand? So that's how it works. I'm sorry, can I have some drink, please? Just, I'm sorry. Do I have any students of knowledge today here? Do I have anyone who studied hadith or something? There is no any? Well, except me, of course. I mean, not student of knowledge, but scholar. That's me. Okay. Yeah. Okay, anyway. Now, just you take this as you can say a quick, explanation in terms of how knowledge of face reading will be working. So there are, you can say, two ways in the book. Thank you. Thank you very much. You know how greedy these brothers are in Doncaster. They brought this to me. So I said, mashallah, they're respecting me. And then I went to another room, the other room, to pray Dhuhr. So there was a mountain of pikore, And then they brought only these to me, Okay? Yeah. Okay, so there is hadith. Rasulullah ﷺ says, Inna libni Adama or bibni Adama lammatan lil malak wa lammatan lil shaitan. Hadith is authentic, it's very famous hadith. Means, indeed, human being has a whisper of angel and a whisper of shaitan. Did you understand? Then, how to distinguish what is the whisper of shaitan and what is the whisper of the angel? So Imam Ghazali says, look at the consequence. Okay, for example, just I was sitting and just it came to my mind saying, go and buy a Quran. Drive to Bradford and buy a Quran, for example. So I may think that it is a whisper of angel. But then Imam Ghazali says, look at its consequence. Okay, so then now is the time of Dhuhr. So if I will drive towards Bradford, definitely I'm going to miss Dhuhr. So it is the whisper of shaitan. And shaitan is very clever, am I right? So it's impossible that shaitan will come to you and you are 25 years old young man, handsome, but not as handsome as me, but handsome, will do, But then he will not come to you saying, Maulana Sahab, I will give you Snickers, so go and commit sin. Snickers, chocolate. He will not say that to you because you are in different age. So to cheat you, he will give you something which looks like good, but then you will be committing sin. Okay, so just look at its consequence to distinguish if it is from Iblis or from angel. Okay, so now in terms of shaitan whispering, no one doubts. Am I right? يوسوس في صدور الناس, Allah describing Iblis, whispering in the heart of a human being. Okay, but what about angel whispering? So if you remember, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in some of the hadith says, "Ulqiya fi rawa'i," it has been thrown into my heart. The following words: "Ya ibna Adam, حب من شئت أحب من شئت فإنه مفاد." Do you remember the hadith in which Rasulullah says that it has been thrown into my heart to say the following words, which is one of them: love anyone you want to, anyone that you want to, you are going to be separated from him by death, you know. And اعمل ما شئت فإنك مجزوم أو عش ما شئت فإنك ميت, and live as much as you want because definitely you are going to die. وَعْمَلْ مَا شِئْتْ فَإِنَّكَ مَجْزِيٌّ بِهِ, and do whatever you want to, definitely you will get rewarded or punished by it. Okay, so Rasulullah says, أُلْقِيَ فِي رَوْعِي, it has been thrown into my heart. So the scholars said it is when angel is whispering. Or another hadith is in Sahih al-Bukhari. Do you remember the Sahabi who, the group of Sahabah, they went to some place and there was some tribe close by and they were traveling. So they went asking for some food to buy. And this Bedouin tribe, they didn't sell anything. So they were greedy, or maybe, I don't know. So then, so they had their leader of the tribe. He was ill. Okay, he has been injured by a scorpion. So they asked, the tribe asked, "Do you have anyone who can make dam?" One of the Sahaba said, "I can do it." So then they went. Okay, so that Sahabi read Surah Al-Fatiha. Okay, and then then they had been paid a lot of things, etc. And then they said, "Oh people, we don't know if this halal to be paid for you reciting Quran. So let's not use it and let's go back to Rasulullah to ask him." Do you remember the hadith is famous? And then when they came, Rasulullah said, "It is okay to do so." But then Rasulullah asked that Sahabi saying, "How did you find that Surah Al-Fatiha is dumb surah?" So that person said, "Ulqiya fi rawi," it has been thrown into my heart. So that is the whisper of angel. Did you understand? So each of us have a whisper of angel and whisper of shaitan. Okay? And then even this knowledge sometimes will be based on this whisper. So there are two types of face reading. One is you will get just some thought which will just hit your mind. Just by looking at the person, straight away you will understand that he's man of evil. But so far you didn't look at his face and you didn't read his face. How do you know it? Just it's thrown into your heart. Do you understand what I mean? Okay, so that is one way of reading the face. And it is not a knowledge, but it is just, you can say, by having very clean heart. So as cleaner it will be, that much you will hear the whisper of angel. Okay, but as more dirty will be your heart, that much you will get whispers from shaitan. Okay, so it is nothing to do with learning, but it is something by practicing and cleaning your heart. Okay, so he says, ثم أعلم أنه this knowledge على قسمين أحدهما أن يحصل خاطر في القلب بأن هذا الإنسان من صفته كيت وكيت من غير حصول أمارة جسمانية ولا علامة محسوسة والسبب فيه ما ثبت أن جواهر النفوس الناطقة مختلفة إلى آخره. So he says sometimes you will get some thought about some individual. It's first time you see him, but straight away you will say he's very generous. But so far you haven't read his physical, you can say, signs. And how do you know? It is just angelic whisper. And I would say each of us definitely had this type of whisper for 3-4 times. Am I right? Sometimes, for example, we meet people, straight away we know that he is good man. How do you know? It's just angelic whisper. The biggest proof, for example, when you guys, all of you, ladies and brothers, when you saw me for the first time, straight away you said that he's the best person. Am I right? How do you know that? So that was the whisper of angel. Okay? As well as when I saw you for the first time, I said, oof, greed, they did not give me a pickle. So it was also the whisper of angel also. So it is whisper of angel, what Sufis call as ilham. Have you heard about something named ilham? So that is the whisper of the angel. So without reading, even the ignorant person of the face reading, he may have that. Okay? And the second way of face reading is by learning and comparing. Okay? And also, in terms of face reading, the second way, which is face reading, we do have many ways. And we are going to learn in here only one way. Okay? So in terms of face reading, by comparing the person with one of the animals. Okay, inshallah, he's going to explain. Do you know there is ayah in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. ما من دابة يمشي في الأرض ولا طائر يطير بجناحيه إلا أمثالكم ما فرطنا في الكتاب من شيء. Do you know this ayah? This ayah means ما من دابة في الأرض, there is no any animal يمشي في الأرض which walks on the ground, ولا طائر يطير بجناحيه, and there is no any bird which flies, إلا أمثالكم, except all of them, but all of them are nations as yourselves. Did you understand? So then, what is the meaning of this ayah? What is the meaning of this ayah? Because the ayah which is coming afterward is very challenging. He says, مَا فَرَّطْنَا فِي الْكِتَابِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. We didn't ignore anything in this book. Means, we did explain everything in this book. Means, it is one of those ayats which has very intensively, squeezed meanings in 2-3 words. Why? Because the ayah which is coming afterward is very challenging. Okay, so some of the scholars say this ayah means that as we are a nations, okay, so there are a nations also. For example, we have white people, we have black people, we have Punjabis, we have Mirpuris, we have Wahhabis, we have Sufis. So umamun amthalukum, and they are also nations. Did you understand? And some said it is like we as a human being, as we do speak with each other, okay, and as we, for example, so whatever we do, activities in the life, so they do the same, because they are also nation as ourselves. Okay? And some said that the comparison, it is just taqdim and ta'khir, it's going exactly other way around. What does it mean? It means that as we are, so we are the same as the nations of different animals. So within a human being, there are different nations of the animals. How does it work? So it means we have lions amongst us. We have crows amongst us. We may have, for example, birds. Okay, so what does it mean? It does mean that, for example, if I am a bird, after the class, I'm going to fly back home, It does mean, but the character. How come? For example, if you want to compare, for example, let's suppose crow. So the person with crow nature is the person who backbites a lot. Why? Because crow eats only the dead meat. Am I right? Or a scorpion, the person with scorpion nature. The scorpion nature, it is the person who cannot stay alive without biting the people. You do not understand. So if he wants to survive, definitely he has to hurt someone. Without hurting, he cannot survive. Did you understand? Or we have people like ants. Ants are very committed, very focused. So they do not go right and left, but only they are very concerned about what concerns them. Okay, as for example, lion. What's the meaning of a lion? Lion is very calm and still, but very strong. Okay, when it's needed, he will be there and he will be very strong. But when there is no any huge danger, he will be just one of us, calm and very less speaking, you know. Tiger is again very man of strong personality, but he attacks a lot, okay, as well as very greedy. The difference between lion and tiger is that tiger is greedy, okay. Or for example, fox. Do I have fox people today here? It is the people, you know. For example, you know, now, for example, we are speaking, and I will say to you, oh, you know, guys, there is a very cheap car, okay, Lamborghini, cheap one, 2,000 pounds, and my friend is selling it. So the man of fox nature who will be sitting here, he will say, oh, that one, Ahmad Bhai, yes, yes. Oh, you know, actually he did sell it off last night, you know. But in his mind, just to stop everyone, so he will go to buy it. Do I have anyone like that today here? No, for example, in terms of lion nature, I'm saying, so it is me today here, okay? But do I have fox nature today? So that is the basis of this knowledge. Did you understand? So, the basis of this knowledge that we're going to... But it's not only the way that you can read the face. Okay? Sometimes the mimics of the face will mean also something. Do you know the person whose eye is very quick? This. He is very, you can say, cheating man. And he is very smart, but evil smart. Evil intelligence. Do you know? Okay, and the person, for example, the person of, for example, the person who, for example, speaks a lot, okay, all the time. So as soon as he will find the shape of the ear, he will start speaking. Okay, so he is a bit insane, Dewana man. Okay, so he needs only even just, you can paint ear on this board, he will start speaking to that, you know. Do you understand that type of people? So it is a bit insane, you know, a bit insane. So there are, this way is different way to our, that we are going to learn. Okay, so it's not only the way that I'm going to teach. So Ilm-ul-Qiyaf is many, many ways. So it is the same as Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi, etc. So we are going to learn the best ever way, which is Hanafi way of face reading. Okay, this is just anyway. So he says, وأما القسم الثاني منها ما هو الاستلاء. So the first way of face reading is just ilham. You do not read, but it just comes. So some thought hits your mind. And it will be very correct, okay? And definitely there are some exercises to improve this ilham, you know, okay? And there are some ways of, you can say, distinguishing between the whisper of Iblis and whisper of angel and your own thoughts, okay? And unfortunately, no one teaches it now and no one practices it now because we became more, you can say, skeptical and atheistic, you know? So we are doubtful about any strange knowledge, even if it is Islamic knowledge, for some reason. So then he says, but that's the first way, whisper. And the second way is, فهو الاستدلال بالأحوال الظاهرة على الأخلاق الباطنة. So it is by finding a sign, by reading the sign from external acting to connect that with internal behaving, with character, you can say. Okay, well, for example, do you know whatever we do, that is only as order from internal character. Am I right? So no one, so it is the same as it's like computer. So you will push the button of print and it will start printing. So printing never happens by itself, except if there is virus in the hardware. Am I right? So it is, I would compare the virus as insane man. So he will be acting, he will be doing, but without any connection between what he does and between what his brain is ordering to do. It is just disconnected, you can say. Okay? But the normal person, whatever he does, it is coming as a result of his character. Did you understand? Yeah. If you remember, it's a very famous hadith. Rasulullah says, ألا إن في الجسد لمضغة إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله ألا وهي القلب. Very famous hadith. أو كما قال النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام. All people, be noted that you have in your body just small piece of flesh, a piece of a flesh. And if that piece will be healthy, then the rest of the body, the limbs of the body will be healthy. And if that piece will be ill, then the rest of the body will be ill. Then Rasulullah said, be noted that it is hard. Okay, so how to understand? Let's suppose that you have a habit of backbiting. So backbiting, it doesn't come because of itself. So you have the part of your heart which should be controlling your tongue ill. So now it's worthless for you to try to discipline your tongue. Because it's the same as what we have now, contemporary medicine. For example, a skin condition, but the liver is responsible for that skin condition. And then contemporary doctors, maybe they may give us some cream to get rid of that sign. Okay? And you may use it, and after 2-3 days, it will just disappear. But as long as sign is in the liver, I mean, the reason is in the liver, after a certain period, it comes back again. But if you are wise, then don't deal with the sign, but deal with the reason, with the cause. Okay? So it is the same thing. What we do externally, that is all because of what we have in our heart. So it's either healthy or either illness. Did you understand? So all of that is causing. So just by looking to external act or some certain signs on the face and on the body, you can describe the morals and character which is internal, you can say, life of the person. So the first way is just ilham, and the second way is reading the external signs, what you have. So it could be acting, or it could be some, for example, shape of the face and etc. So he says, وَهُوَ عِلْمٌ يَقِينِيٌّ. Am I very fast? Am I very fast? You know, I used to be student of knowledge, and alhamdulillah still I'm student of knowledge. And I used to be very quick in terms of understanding. And then I looked into the reason. I had some friends who was very slow. And then the reason was because when teacher would be explaining, he would try to write down everything. But I was just focusing on what he says. Did you understand? Because writing what he says, it is the same as to read a book. Am I right? Because you'll write down now to read it afterward. But to listen to the teacher, that's the best way. Because he will explain, and after that I will have the book to read, to go through it, you know. So that's how you will learn better. But anyway, everyone has his own way of learning. Maybe some of you can say, learns better if he takes notes straight away. Okay, but my way used to be that I would be listening to the teacher more than writing or taking notes. So he says, وَهُوَ عِلْمٌ يَقِينِيُّ الْأُصُولِ ظَنِّيُّ الْفُرُوعِ. So it is a knowledge which is based on solid principles. But the branch of this knowledge could be not as solid as the principles. How to understand? It means that the principles that we are going to, for example, if someone looks like, for example, let's say a fox, so he is very evil intelligent. So that is 100% correct. But when you implement it, it may not be as solid and correct as its principles. Why? Because how you are going to implement, there could be some mistake in there. Am I right? So because of that, when you will be implementing, it could have some mistakes. But it doesn't mean that it's because the principle is incorrect. The principle is 100% correct. Okay? Now, my question, please, can you help me? For me, both of the ways of face reading are same. Because both of them are thoughts. Am I right? So, where different lies? So, where is the difference between the first way of face reading and the second way of face reading, please? Yes, please. Who can help me? Because both of them are thoughts that you have in your mind. Yes. Yes, who can help me? Once Rasulullah ﷺ came out of his house. And Rasulullah ﷺ forbade the Sahabah to get up for Rasulullah ﷺ as Persians do for their kings. Because Persians would stand up or bow as with intention of worshipping. Because they would believe that king is actually the descendant of God, as you can say, So they would be standing up or bowing for their kings with intention of worshipping. So Rasulullah forbade Sahaba to do the same as Persians do. And once Sahaba was sad and they were speaking. And suddenly, so in the masjid, and suddenly Rasulullah came out from his house, so everyone stood up, because it wasn't expected, So then Rasulullah, they say the sign of Rasulullah being angry, you could read it in his face, because it would be like, the pomegranate juice, if you just dip your hand into it, and then if you would spray it on the face, how it would appear. Red dots, spots. So when everyone stood up, Sahaba stood up, so Rasulullah just looked at them and they could see the anger, so no one could speak. Then Rasulullah said, didn't I forbid you from standing for me, getting up for me? So no one could reply back. Then Abdullah bin Rawaha, you know him, or Abdurrahman bin Auf, one of them two Sahaba. Most likely it's Abdurrahman bin Auf, Wallahu alam. Because he was poet also. Okay, and as you know, poets are just perfect on using the metaphor. Am I right? So what did he say? He said, Ya Rasulullah, don't you look at this. When we see sun setting on the horizon, by leaving just red light behind, and it just takes our mind, it makes us insane, such beautiful. So don't you think that just by looking at you, we lost our mind and we did it out of our consciousness? Rasulullah just left them and then walked past, So these guys just enjoying my beauty, so that's why no one is speaking, So wake up. So what is the difference between these two ways? Yes, please. Yes. So both of them are thought. Am I right? But one is quick thought and the second is faster, slower thought. But both of them are thought.
From the heart and one from the brain.
One, okay, mashallah, excellent. One is from the heart and one is from the brain. Because normally whisper of the angel will be thrown into the heart. And the second is when you're thinking and making your analogy, it's in your brain, not in your heart. Okay, mashallah, good. Anything else? Yes.
Is one of them is like classed like tajalliyat, where it's something which God inspired you
Okay.
for doing, and the other one you, with your own rational thinking, with your own study,
Okay.
your knowledge, you've made.
Okay, good, mashallah, excellent. Anything else? And then, by the way, brothers, I'm waiting my mountain of Picora, okay? Let's go and bring it here. Yeah. Okay, excellent. Both of you are right. Here is the answer. سئل بعض الصوفيين. Some of the Sufis has been asked. عن الفرق بين هذين القسمين. What is the difference between these two ways of face reading? فقال, so he said, الظن يحصل بتقلب القلب في الأمارات والفراسة تحصل بتجلي نور رب السماوات. So he said, the face reading by your logic, it will be by looking into the signs. But he says, بِتَقَلُّبِ الْقَلْبِ, when your heart will be going around to get the signs, reading the signs. So that is the second way. But the first way is when the nur of God appears and enlightens your heart. So then when you get the ilham. So that is, both of you are right. And then he says, ومن قوي فيه نعمة الروح المذكور في قوله تعالى أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ونفخت فيه من روحي قويت فيه هذه الفراسة. So he says, and anyone who will strengthen up his ruh, the ruh which is mentioned in this ayah, which is وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي, I did blow into the body of Adam my creature which is a ruh, so that that ruh, if it will be strengthened up, then his enlightening will be stronger. Okay, well, I did mention it before. So the first way of ilham, that is also the way that you can strengthen up and you can develop and you can say increase, improve. Okay, but that is not by learning, but by cleaning your heart and strengthening it. Okay, and as you know, cleaning the heart and cleaning the ruh will be mainly by istighfar and tawbah. Okay, so as much as you can istighfar for each single sin, because they say, as Rasulullah ﷺ says, when you will commit sin, so you will get one dot on your heart. Do you remember? And then if you make tawbah, it will be rubbed away. But if you do not make a tawbah, then it will become as part of your heart. So that black dot. So Rasulullah ﷺ said that then hearts will end up on being two types. One is very bright. Why? Because each time when you would commit sin, you would make istighfar, so that black spot would just disappear. And the second is very dark, there is no any light in it. Committing sin, and there is no any istighfar. So then that heart wouldn't distinguish anything. So Rasulullah ﷺ says, the bright heart will not be affected by any fitna. Okay, what does it mean? Even without studying, when some fitna issues will be offered to you, now we have so many fitna issues, am I right? We have the problems between different groups, etc. So when that will be offered to your heart, so Rasulullah ﷺ says, the heart will not be affected. Okay, and the second heart, the dark heart, it is the heart of the person who will not distinguish between what is halal and what is haram and what is right and what is wrong. Did you understand? So that whisper of an angel could be, you can say, developed and improved. Okay, and that is not by studying. I'm sorry. Can we have very short break, please? Very short break. Inshallah, we'll carry on.